If you want to make millions of dollars in crypto, the most important thing you can do is just get involved and buy some. I know it sounds really simple, but that's honestly all it is about. I seriously think the hardest part about making money in crypto is getting into it and buying your first coin. But if you've already done that or you know how to do it, just keep watching this video because I'll be explaining exactly my thoughts on how to become a millionaire this bull run. So starting off, it depends on how much money you've got already. Please don't comment how much money you've got in the comment section down below because there are people lurking. It's not smart to put that information online. However, I will say that I can subdivide it into 3 different categories. The people starting with $0, absolutely zero, or who are under 18 and have found no ways to get themselves even a single dollar worth of crypto. Then the second class is people who've got, a little bit of money. A little bit of money could be 20 bucks, a little bit of money could be $1,000 or a couple $1,000s. And then we've got the ballers already. I mean, if we're talking about becoming a millionaire and you're starting out with $250,000, the story is significantly different than if you're starting out with 0. So I might leave timestamps down below, I might not, but I'm gonna quickly explain to you guys, hopefully in just a few minutes here, what I would do if I was starting out with either 0, a couple $1,000s to maybe even 10 or 20,000, and then 100 or a couple $100,000. Starting out, of course, with absolutely 0 because I think it's the most fun. What I'd be doing is farming testnet airdrops. As you guys might know from my videos over the past couple of months, I've made many airdrop tutorials, but the majority of them cost money. And they don't literally cost money where you have to give them money to enter. It's kind of different. It's mostly the more money you have, the easier it becomes to get money from them, because usually it's a matter of, okay, if you participate with the network with more money, then you're more loyal to them. So they also want to reward you with more of their own token or their points, which obviously will also reward you more. But there are a couple of free opportunities out there. When I say a couple, it's honestly quite staggering once you start getting into it. And there's 3 things I can recommend you guys to start out with. And I'm gonna really skim over these things. One is Grass. I'll leave a link to this down below because I think you need an invite code to be able to join. So just press the link down below. And again, nothing in this video is sponsored, it's just my own thoughts. But as far as I hear, or see, I guess, earn a stake in the AI revolution, you basically give them honest truth, it sounds kind of weird, but because you are installing it, you're basically acting as a node. Since you've got an internet connection and you keep pinging, they have value in that. And perhaps because you're building up points for connecting to the internet and connecting them, it's just something you got to choose whether or not you like. Of course, do your own due diligence here, but you can get points, and perhaps those points will become worth something in the future. Hey, maybe it's going to be just for $30. Maybe it's just going to be $40. Who knows? But if you're starting out with absolutely 0, every dollar worth of crypto counts. So you might want to check it out. Now, another thing you might want to do is galaxy quests. So I often converse with people who are doing these quests all the time, and the reward differs greatly. And again, it's not like you'll be the only one doing these things, but first of all, you can learn so much from doing these quests. And second of all, sometimes there are tiny rewards split over perhaps a lot of people. But again, if you're starting out with absolutely 0, this could be a very, very big deal. Again, I'll leave a link down below for you guys to check it out. And because I'm trying to make it like a compact video, not go too much into detail, I'll just give you guys the places where to look, and you do a little bit of your own digging. I can't chew everything for you here, because otherwise this video would be like 50 minutes long. And even then, this world is so broad, just go into it first, do a little bit of digging, and then look back at my channel, as you'll most likely understand more of the videos after you've gone through all these, I guess, basic steps. Okay, and here's where a difficult part comes in. When I say testnet farming, a difficult part about this is that the knowledge required for this might be slightly more significant than I'd like to give to people. So this is not a very, very easy option. And many of these have actually already gone. This is like an old list, but it's just to give you guys an example where here, for example, this is supposedly right. I'm not even sure if this was true, but if you connected with Venom's testnet, you were doing some transactions around, which is absolutely free. You could have supposedly perhaps gotten yourself 50 Venom, which right now would be worth, not too much. Let's say it's $16 or so. But again, not too bad if you're starting out with 0. My whole crypto journey, as I said before, I started out with a giveaway of 0.01 Bitcoin, which at the time really wasn't worth a lot of money. But it made me realize that you can definitely do a lot if you're starting out with $10 or $20, but 0.0, it's hard. And thus, I think one of the best ways is just testnet farming, doing a lot. And this is like almost a full-time job, I'm going to be honest with you, if you want to do it efficiently. But if you do it that way, some of these drops will most likely be a few $100s. And more importantly, as you understand it better, you'll get faster at it and it starts to stack up where, again, it might become a full-time job, but the pay could be over a prolonged period of time, also full-time job-like. And as you start to get some of the rewards, you can input that into now the knowledge you've gathered. So some of the real airdrop opportunities. And I think one of the recent ones was, I think, EtherFi. That was really, really good. But there's many of them where you have a minimum amount of money that you get. So let's say, for example, you provide $300, for example. The airdrop could still be worth over 1,000 if you get lucky and have a minimum reward. Then again, my best tip out there could be figure out how to get yourself a little bit of starting capital. If you're starting out with 0.000, things are just so much more difficult than if you've got $100 or just a little bit of money. And that's what we'll talk about right now. What would I do if I started out with some cryptocurrency or some dollars? Now, first off, I'd sign up to a cryptocurrency exchange. My personal favorite is Bybit, but I've left a couple links down below to different exchanges you can check out. You might be thinking, Dusty, why are you saying that? If I got $100, why a crypto exchange? First of all, you need a place to buy crypto. But second of all, and this is the most important part, because usually exchanges have a little bonus or reward that you might get for signing up. And I take those very, very seriously, especially if you're a seasoned trader, because the rewards can be tens of thousands of dollars. Many people don't think this is real or don't get how it works. It's a matter of, let's say I have $1 million, right? And I go to a new exchange because I'm going to be trading on there a lot. They're going to make money on my fees and they appreciate you as a customer, so to speak. The $30,000 that they give you in trading bonuses, for example, they will most likely make back. It's not just, let's just send money to everybody. They're making a calculated decision. And because it's not withdrawable, perhaps some people might just lose it again. Most importantly, and that's a very, very critical part here, they just need to compete with all the other exchanges. And if they don't give the bonuses, they can't stand. Nobody will go there. Again, I'll leave a couple links down below to exchanges that are pretty juicy to check out. It's just a start because there you got to buy crypto. There you got to perhaps, start buying and selling some altcoins. But anyway, if I had a little bit of crypto or a little bit of money, I'd probably buy crypto on exchanges, not do it the decentralized way, which means you get yourself a MetaMask or Phantom wallet or whatever, just these decentralized wallets that are not on a central platform like an exchange would be. But again, that depends on how much money you've got. If you're in the, let's say $20 to $300 range, now I wouldn't even bother, just keep everything on an exchange. If I had a couple $1,000s, I would most likely get myself a MetaMask and all these other wallets basically, because first of all, you can start farming airdrops that are with a slight barrier of entry. You can start staking some things. For example, coins, it's a little bit further down now, but coins like Celestia or perhaps Atom, perhaps Pyth, there's many of them, where even staking a little bit could perhaps gain you juicy rewards over time. But more importantly, you can start buying some of these smaller meme coins, which depending on how much I had, it would be the biggest thing that I'd do. I'd go for some of the smaller meme coins, not one of these huge ones, all right, but some of the smaller ones, or again, some of the lower ranking altcoins. I've made many lists about some of my top AI coin picks, so you might want to check some of those videos out. I think AI is by far the most interesting sector to go for. Apple just had a big video where they talked a lot about AI. I don't have to explain it too much though. AI coins, my favorite sector, but hey, you choose for yourself whatever you think is best. Couple of bangers. I think AOS would do really, really well. But honestly, in this whole list, there's everything would probably do well. Again, my thoughts, not financial advice. I think Render will probably keep popping off. Injective will find its time again. Fetch, yeah. RSS3 is one of my personal favorites. But again, I think AGI will probably keep doing well. And I think there's a good chance that LimeWire will also continue on with the gains. Again, I'm just naming a few though to get you guys in on my thinking process. But honestly, the whole sector is just so exciting. So again, to sum up, I'd probably go for some of the smaller meme coins. And again, I've made a video on how to buy meme coins. Check that video out. The reason I cannot recommend it is because it's easy to lose money. The reason I can recommend it is because if you get into the game and you understand the ins and outs, it's honestly not that hard to make gains with it over a little bit of time. The only problem is you need to be lucky with the timing. If it's a bad market, like perhaps these few days here. Yeah, meme coins are the worst to be in, but if it's a good market, which we're most likely getting into right now, it is one of the best ways to multiply a portfolio if you know what you're doing. Again, this is not for the faint-hearted. This is not a thing you will learn overnight. If you just think, oh, I'll buy one and be rich, it can happen. Some people get lucky, but for most people, it takes a little bit of finding out how the system works. But on my own journey here, I'm up tremendously on meme coins, and so are most of my friends. But again, at that point, it's mostly about timing. With some of these AI coins, though, it's less about timing, just about making sure you buy some, because again, over a longer period of time, a few months, I think these will pop off. The only thing is, the higher along the ranks you go, the less your gains will be. The lower you go, the more gains you'll make. But I'd see it like this. If I had a couple $1,000s, if I were to buy only Bitcoin, it'd probably not be worth a lot. With trading crypto, yes, you could do well. Here's, for example, one of my Bybit accounts where we opened a $1,300 trade. That is in $16,000 worth of profit over a little bit of time. So it's not to say that $1,000 can't make you a good chunk. The only problem is, let's say it does a 10x, you're still only, if you started with 1,500 at 15,000, but there is where the difference starts. The less money you have, the more time it will take, because making a 10x or so in a couple months in a bull market ain't that hard, which is why I tell most people, think about it from a 2-cycle perspective, not one. One is where you make the majority of the mistakes, is where you get your real lead capital. So if you had 0, you had a couple thousand, this is where you get to the real chunks. Perhaps, I think the goal for everybody should be to get to at least $50,000 in a cycle, which is doable if you're starting out with a couple thousand. And then the next cycle to turn that 50,000 into $1 or a couple $1 million, because at that point you understand the ropes, you understand the game. But the most important thing there being a longer term vision. Most importantly, knowing how to sell. And we'll talk about selling when I talk about what I would do if I started with 100,000, 50,000, 200,000, whatever. But again, depending on what part of the range you're in, I'd also probably go for some airdrop farms. But I think over the next few months, that will probably get less lucrative because more and more people are knowing about it. And I'd probably just over leverage like crazy, like a maniac. Because again, if I started with $1,000 or even $5,000, I can lose. Okay, this is degeneracy, but I'll tell it still. $1,000 I'll make again, but the opportunity to be in this good of a market, you might never get again. So the way I always see it is I'd rather risk it a little bit too much and lose it all, knowing that I full on tried to turn it into 100,000 or whatever, than just having my $1,000 being comfortable, but basically never seeing progression, or at least not this exponential progression potential that we've got in a market like this. So I'd probably buy altcoins that I just mentioned, some of these ones in the AI sector, expecting a rough, I'm going to say 7 to 10x return on average. Again, depending on what your starting number is, that would be good enough to be set for this run. Perhaps it's not. Again, the number on average is going to be higher the lower you go along the ranks. Obviously, also the more risk it ensues. Another strategy you could go for at this point, though, if you got some money, is like I described before, trying to buy significant Bitcoin dips. I've explained to you guys before about trading strategy that works extremely well in bull markets, but it comes down to this. It comes down to literally what you're seeing right here. This is what I always explain in my trading videos, but I'll say it again. If you see that the Bitcoin price comes down a lot, even any altcoin price really, but Bitcoin is safest, just buy, right? Let's say we started with $1,000, we buy $200 worth. Let's say it drops another very good chunk. We buy again $200 worth. You might say, oh, but it's so low, I should put everything in. No, because we never know how low it will go. It's preferable to just have less open in a trade than not being able to buy even bigger dips. And that's, for example, how this structure came to be. The Bitcoin price went below 60,000. I was comfortable there. I bought. The Bitcoin price went to 56,000 though. That was really uncomfortable from the perspective that it was so much down, but really nice from the perspective of buying the dip. So we bought again. Average price now being extremely low. The average price now was 57.4 thousand. And so over the next few days at 65,000, that is massive profit. And so even if you're starting out with $1 or a couple $1,000s, if you're able to take these moves, which on average will happen 20, 30 times in a bull market, and you keep doubling or tripling your money, understand you will lose sometimes if you play the game stupid, but realistically, it's almost impossible to lose because you're buying your way down lower. Your average price keeps getting lower, and the only way you can get wrecked is either on fees or by over leveraging and not having enough money to buy the dip. That's why I said you gotta average it out a little bit. And even just having 5 dip opportunities, so $200, $200, $200, it's not a lot, but that's what bots are for. And I've explained all that over on my trading channel. And now I don't know why I decided to put on a shirt that's exactly the color of the background. I'm not sure how that came to be. And my skin is like the door, so it's kind of funny. Okay, I'm slightly lighter, but you get the idea. And now, if I had more money, $100,000, maybe even $50,000, $200,000, honest truth, I'd probably stick to three strategies. It kind of depends on your risk profile, but I'd have a portfolio split with the majority of it in Bitcoin. It's just to keep it safe, because if this doubles over the market cycle, so the bull run, it's pretty good, but it'll probably do more than that. And doing that in one season, it really ain't that bad, especially because it's some of the easier gains. And one of my friends often says that it's actually better to 2x a Bitcoin or Ethereum long, or perhaps even a 3x long. And that's because it's very, very hard to get liquidated on these trades, but you're making double or triple the gains. Another option there could be to go on places like Bybit and buy leveraged Bitcoin or leveraged Ethereum at, again, 2x or 3x depending on the time, because it's basically just more exposure to an asset class that you're bullish on. And perhaps, depending on how you play the game, there's no liquidation. So it's basically just as if you have double or triple the money, but also as the prices come down, you lose a lot more money. You understand the game. I'd be farming a lot of airdrops like I'm doing right now. I'm basically farming all the major ones. And which are they? Look it up. Again, I don't have to chew everything for you here, because if you can't even find out what some of the major ones are, this is going to get so much more difficult to actually farm them that it's not even worth it. It just doesn't make sense. You know, just look it up and you'll figure it out. Recently, we farmed EGLD. It's launching, I think, tomorrow, maybe 2 or 3 days, but there's so many. I'll make another airdrop tutorial probably in another 2 days or so. Just give it some time. I'll make another tutorial for the ones I'm farming. And it's just a matter of the more money you have, the more money you make, almost in a guaranteed fashion. I'd be buying a lot less of these riskier coins. And even though some of the ones in the AI sector I just mentioned, I'm still excited about, if I had less money, I'd probably stick more towards like lower ranking cryptos, because you gotta really go for those 10x, 20x, 40x opportunities, not just doubling or whatever. But the more money you have, the higher up along the ranks you go. Again, a render, for example, will probably still do some crazy numbers over the market, over the run, I should say, even though it's already at 4 billion. And that's because I have said before that I think if you take a look at this top list here, right now the number 100 is roughly 800 million. I think the lowest we will see along this rank will be at least 2.5 billion, but perhaps as high as I'm going to say $4 to $8 billion over the next run, as many altcoins that are low along this ranking will still do more than a 10x, because again, taking a look, a lot of these coins are down still 90% or whatever crazy percentages from their all-time highs. And almost every run, they still double, triple, or quadruple from their previous all-time high. So the gains potential is pretty severe here, even though we're still in safe areas with some of these top coins. Again, if you're trying to get into trading now, because you've got more money, the deposit bonuses you'll be getting are also going to be more significant. So again, check out Bybit, for example. I'd personally stay away from meme coins altogether, because it is too risky, not worth losing a lot of capital over, unless again you want to really spend a lot of time on this. I'd focus very much on leading narratives. So for example, DeepIn, AI, RWA, and kind of like I mentioned previously, but again, mostly just some of the higher market cap coins that have a high likelihood of just doing well over time, not specifically just one cycle. And also trying to speculate more on the next bigger narratives. For example, if we notice, hey, a lot of attention is going towards TON, which we've been noticing, perhaps allocate some bigger positions towards a crypto like that, even though it's already at you can't see, but it's $20 billion worth. If it's going to be the next big narrative, like Solana has been for a while right now. I mean, Solana is at 70 billion, still 3.5x as big. Makes sense for some of the altcoins to still go on massive runs, even though they're already massive. Because even for Solana, I think getting to $1,000 is not weird. And so you just have to imagine the market cap then. So for TON to do a 10x, it's also not too crazy. Not saying only TON, I'm just giving you an example of how to basically invest by thinking of what the next big sector is going to be. I mean, we obviously know some of the leading sectors, oracles, things like Chainlink, AI coins, like I've just mentioned, / DeepIn. You could put a little side placement onto the Bitcoin narrative, everything Bitcoin layer 2, everything Bitcoin related, but it's not been popping off. It's not been taking the road which I would have liked to see it at. So perhaps skip it actually, but it'd also be going a lot more for the main layer ones, like for example, an Arbitrum. I tried to say main layer 2s like Arbitrum. Damn, there we go. With a slight hint of some of the main layer ones like Sui, just because Ethereum will most likely keep popping up, but it's always nice to invest a little bit into competitors, because it could be any season now, any new run where it just takes over, right? Or at least gains a lot because of their institutional connects, which is what a lot of people have been doing with things like Beam as well. And honestly, I think that's my main strategy. Those are my main points. It's not that different to go from $10,000 to $100,000 to go from $100,000 to $1 million. I think it's very significantly different if you're in the multiple millions of dollars or if you're in the really low tens or 20s of dollars, if you understand where I'm coming from. But 10,000 to 100, 500,000 to 5 million, it's all pretty similar, even though it's on different ranks. So for example, with bigger portfolios, I'd go for less risky altcoins. With smaller portfolios, go for riskier altcoins for the potential of it popping off significantly more. But I think the average investor will still come to the same result. It's just some of you guys that will absolutely pop off, which is why it's worth it. Because if you're catching the right one altcoin, you can literally change everything. But the more money you'd have, the less likely it'd be to risk it on a small percentage aside. So again, if we have a $100,000 portfolio, it's not stupid to put a couple $1,000s into really, really risky things. For example, you take 5% of your entire portfolio, put it into really high risk assets, maybe even 10, maybe some people do 20%, just in case it does really, really well. But I'd say that also depends on how active you're willing to be with this crypto stuff. If you're at $100,000, for the most part, I think most people don't actively already employ people to watch their money for them. And in that case, it can be really cumbersome to check back on all these different things all day, which you kind of need to do to be able to get the most out of it when we're talking about these riskier asset classes. Similarly to meme coins, if you're not putting a lot of effort and time into it, it'll not really work properly for most people unless you just get lucky on the timing or you're very freaking smart. That could also work, obviously. And anyway, I can keep talking about this for hours and hours, but the core principles is the more money you've got, the less risky along the lines that go. Use deposit bonuses from exchanges. You can sometimes flip through them every now and then to catch new bonuses. Could be nice. If you've got no money, focus on free testnet airdrops and free campaigns, things of the sort. You can even go around Twitter retweeting things and commenting to sometimes win giveaways. They do work. In the middle section, I'd go for a lot of risky things like meme coins, lower cap coins, and I'd be focusing a lot on just purely hype in a crazy fashion, willing to risk everything to just make it big. The more money you'd have, I'd probably just stick to more of the stronger narratives, RWA, AI, deep in, invest heavily. Obviously still knowing I could lose it all, but probably it'll do pretty well over a bull market and just kind of bank on that. And if you got more than $1 million, then obviously you've already become a millionaire, so it's pretty easy. You got to do nothing with that, yeah. That's about it. Links are down below that you can check out. And hopefully I'll see you guys again in either one of the new tutorials that are coming out in the next few days.